But for some people, there's an invisible barrier that's holding them back. And that invisible barrier is literally their mindset.
Just the fact that you're spending money on something, now you're like, I'm going to make this worthwhile. I'm not going to have paid this money and have it not be worth anything.
You don't need thousands of people to do millions of dollars at your event. You just need the right people and help them to become the buyer before you make the offer. And a big mistake people make with overcoming objections is thinking they have to annihilate the objection. You don't. People do stuff with doubt every day of the week.
Russell Brunson talks about like the framework for teaching frameworks, where you show how you learned it or earned it, you show the high level of the framework, and then you show the social proof, but you don't show the how. You don't show the tactics. You leave that for when they actually purchase. Welcome back to another episode of the A-Lister Show, where we bring you movers and shakers, people doing interesting things, entrepreneurs, and today's guest is no different. Today I have guest Ashley Kirkwood, who has a business teaching people how to make cash from speaking events, land big corporate events, corporate clients. She's a speaker, an author, and a coach, and so much more. We're going to get into it today. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so what brings you to Las Vegas?
I am speaking at Funnel Hacking Live, so that's what brings us. We've been here before, but that is why we're here this time.
Okay, cool. What are you going to be speaking about?
I'll actually be speaking about how to use props to sell more services from the stage.
Tell me about that. What is a prop?
So a prop is literally anything that you use to get a point across that may not directly be related. So this is a water bottle. This could be used as a prop. It's literally a thing that you're using to demonstrate a point.
Okay. How did you get into that?
I was a trial lawyer for several years. So before becoming an entrepreneur, I worked at a really large law firm, and I was a trial lawyer. And there's two types of lawyers. Like there's a transactional lawyer, and they typically are like very collaborative. They're trying to get a deal done. And then there's trial lawyers. Like trial lawyers are trying to win a case. So I had a client, and it was typically adversarial. So it was against another side, and we like to win. And one of the things that I recognized is we would come in and we would keep the jury awake, because there is no more disinterested of an audience than a jury.
Yeah.
They don't want to be there. They did not pay to come there. And they're only there because they could not come up with a better excuse to get out of jury duty. And typically, I have seen jurors, imagine it's like 12 people, and you're right there, and they're snoring in your face. I mean, they're just knocked out. They don't even care. I mean, leaning over, like it's crazy. But I realized that when I would get up, jurors would be awake. And there were two reasons. One, on cross-examination, I would be theatrical. And two, I would utilize props. And literally, not just showing the thing, but using it, interacting with it, putting it in their faces. I would look in their eyes and vary my tone. And so I totally forgot about this experience when I became an entrepreneur, which is what most of us do. We just live all this great corporate life, and then we become entrepreneurs, and we're like, I knew nothing. I'm leaving corporate, and I'm leaving all my experience with me. And I was trying to stand out in the marketplace, but I couldn't. Like, I literally could not. I was making posts with, like, fancy clothes on. No one cared. Like, I was trying to mimic what I saw online. No one cared. I'm like, let me start doing what I did when I was a trial lawyer. Let me start using props and exhibits and demonstratives and teaching people in a way that's fun and exciting and engaging. Basically, let me throw the entrepreneurial rule book out and let me utilize what I know to dominate here. And that is when I realized that if I use props, not just in my content or in my ads, but when I'm hosting a sales event, an event to actually get clients, we made more money.
So a trial lawyer is a wild career. Wild. I mean, it gets vicious, doesn't it?
It's vicious, but it's professional. So, like, let's say
that's
me
the worst,
and you,
because it's like masked viciousness, right?
It is. It's like if you were, let's say you were on the defense and I'm on the plaintiff side. Like in court, I am looking to annihilate you. But then afterwards, I would totally go to dinner with you. Like
really?
It would, it would not be like. Now some people will take it personally.
I think I would take it personal. I'd be like, this is trying to ruin my career. She wants to take me out to dinner. No.
Yeah, but like, let's get drinks. Like competition in law, it's cool in that we're all competitors. Like all of my best friends all worked at competitor firms. We would be vying for the same business, but we were all friends. Like even down to when we interviewed, I remember one of my girlfriends was like, hey, I didn't get a job at Sidley, so they'll probably like still take you, you should go ahead and apply now. Like, follow up today. Because I got the declination letter. So if you didn't get it, follow up today. Because they're probably going to send you like an acceptance letter. So I remember it being very collaborative, but we were fiercely competitive.
Wow.
But just also collaborative. So I find it weird when people compete and they're like, oh, you know, you made more money than me, or your ad cost is better, or whatever it is. And they're just like, now I hate you because you do the same thing. And I'm just like, that's not professionalism. Mm-hmm. Professionalism is we are both so good at what we do that we're going to compete till the end. Okay, it's to the death, but not death, but like the death of the thing. But we're still going to be friends. Like, that's how I've always viewed competition.
Yeah. And that's really interesting observation at one point that you had, because the audience of a juror, it's really unique in the way that you have to engage them and you have to find a way to actually like reach in and grab them and get their attention somehow. And if you can grab their attention, you could grab anybody's attention.
For sure.
Right? It's like, I mean, there are probably other examples. Like one comes to mind would be like, I don't know, middle school students or something like that. You know? At least they have to be there. But so you have to get really good, or, you know, or even like sober people that are doing comedians that have to do a show for a sober audience, as an example, you know? You know, like if you're trying to tell jokes to a cold room, you know, or something like that. So all these different experiences that people might have, but being able to draw from that and then, you know, bring that into the entrepreneurial side is a really unique observation. How long did it take you to make that observation to where you were able to start to you know, work in that niche, that kind of area?
Yeah, it took several years because we did our first event in 2019, and it was 10 people in a conference room, and I think it was April of 2019 was our first Speak Your Way to Cash Live event. And people just kept asking me how I was getting paid to speak, because at this point I had left. Well, I worked as a lawyer. I had left and started my own law firm, but I'd released a book called The Law School Hustle, and that book was my response to law students who kept asking me, you know, Ashley, you almost failed out of undergrad. Like, how'd you get into Northwestern? Like, that's the top 10 law school in the country. And I'm like, well, I had to develop a study system. Like, I couldn't do what I did in undergrad. I couldn't go out, party, and then just take a test. No, I had to, like, actually develop a study system. And I'm one of those people that, you know, some people who just get things easy, like, it's like they could see it once and it's like, oh, I've mastered it. Like, I'm not that person. Like, I aggressively work towards my goals. Like, people are like, you're type A. I'm like, no, I have to be type A to get it done. Like, some people don't have to work it out. I have to work it out. So in that, I developed a study system, put it in a book. But books don't sell themselves. That's the crazy thing about books. Like, they're always like, oh, congrats, you wrote a book. I'm like, no. Congrats is you sold a book. Like, so I could not sell this book. So I started bulk selling it to law schools by cold calling them. And people were seeing me at all these colleges, and they were like, hey, I want to do that. And I was like, you do? Okay, well, I don't have time to tell all of you individually. Just meet me at this place. And only 10 people met me. And I was like, okay, great. I made less than $1,000, but I was excited because 10 people met me to talk about what I know. Like, I didn't have to try a case. Like, I just had to tell them what I knew.
Was that your first time making money from, like, a, quote, coaching experience?
Yes. And it's crazy because I just recently realized that was my entryway into coaching. I always thought that was my entryway into events, but it wasn't. Like you said, that was my entryway into coaching. So at that event, you know, I didn't use any props. I didn't even dress up. I didn't even know that, like, as the host, you're supposed to, like, look like the host. It was another girl that came. She looked like the host. Like, she was so well dressed. And I remember feeling so
You're
bad.
like, no, sorry, you cannot come in.
Like, I wanted to kick her out. I didn't. But that was the one time where I was like, this competition, I got to kick this competitor out. Like, she walked in and people were, like, asking her, like, okay, you know, are you ready to speak? I was like, this isn't her event. So that taught me a great lesson. Like, you need to look like it's your event. I was like, oh, I called it a workshop. So in my mind, like, I'm so green to this industry. Workshop means sweats. Like, we're about to be working, you know? Like, I don't want to be dressed up for a workshop. But I learned, no, when you're hosting an event, like, you need to at least exert yourself like you're the host, whatever that looks like for you. So now I dress up everywhere. I'm like, I'm just gonna make sure I don't feel uncomfortable, because that distracted me from delivering the content. So whatever you need to be comfortable, you need to do. But yeah, so I did that event, made like $1,000, and I was so excited. I couldn't even afford a venue. My husband, I don't know if couldn't afford or just didn't want to invest in it, but like my husband snuck me in on Saturday at the WeWork that he worked at. So we didn't even have AC or anything like that. We just snuck in, and we were just hoping. This was so dangerous. We were just hoping that no one from the building would come in. So we do the event. It goes well. No one kicks us out. So we do another event. And that one, I actually made an offer because I went to my friend's event. Shout out to Lamar Tyler. He did an event. and he made an offer for like $25,000 in the front of the room. And I was just like, I was there and I started crying because I wanted the offer so bad. I was just like, this is for me.
Wow.
This is for me. And so I called my husband crying like, this. I just heard this guy speak. I don't know who he is, but he made me want to buy this thing and I really want to buy it. And so I bought it, but then I chickened out and like totally was like, never mind. Like, I don't really want to buy this thing. So that was, but that feeling of like, I wasn't mad at him. You know, I was like grateful that he gave me something to carry on. So at my event, a couple weeks later, I was like, I have to make an offer. So I made a $5,000 offer. It was probably 20 people in there and like 3 people took it.
Wow.
And I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God. And literally, I didn't have a sales team. It was my mom. So my mom did the sales. We had like these little sheets and they just like, whatever I saw, I was just like, I'm just gonna do what I saw. Like have a sheet, have them fill out their credit card information. The cards went through. And that event made $15,000. And I just thought I was rich.
Wow.
Like that was it.
So you did your second event.
Yeah.
And this time you were brave enough to make an offer to people.
Yes.
What was that like? I mean, you've never made an offer before.
No,
like that.
Not like that.
And you're in a room with 20 people. So it's not like you're far removed from all these people.
No.
You're like face to face with all these people asking them for $5,000, which you've never done before. What was that like?
It was intense. But it was like an exhilarating thing. It almost made me feel like I was at trial. Like you get this feeling of, some people call it nerves. I just call it excitement, where it's like, you're about to do this. Like, you're about to do this. People are going to see you. And whether you fail or succeed, it's all out there. And I think I like that. Like, I like that feeling of, like, that rush of, okay. Because it's one, I get a rush when I speak, but a rush when I'm speaking to sell is a whole nother rush. Like, because there's another reward on the other side of it that I really like. So it was good, but it was also, I didn't know if anyone would, I don't even think I believed that anyone would buy. And so for anyone listening to this, like, you don't need to believe 100% in yourself. It'd be great if you did. Eventually you'll get there, but you'll get there with evidence. You won't necessarily get there on the other side of, like, some people have blind faith where they're just, I believe 100% in myself. And it's like, but you know you believe in yourself by what you do, not by what you say. So the more you do it, the more you are solidified in that belief. But in that event, I didn't use props. I just said something. And then in 2020, I did an event virtually. That one did 6 figures. So I was like, okay, we're going to keep doing these events. But in 2021, that was the first year that we really used props. And it was also the first year that I felt like I could almost see the wheels turning in my audience's head. And I basically use props to break down objections. But they're not objections to your clients. To your clients, they're like invisible prisons, because what they are is mindset blocks that keep them from taking action. And not just on your offer, but on every area of their life. And so when I saw that, them seeing, like, the first prop I used was almost like I used like a cardboard and I made it like a wall, and I showed them the difference between like where they're at and where they want to be, and how they keep building this wall between themselves and their goals. And they build it by what they say, what they believe, and what they do. And it was the first time that people were literally like, dang, that's me. Like, that's why I'm not getting there, because you feel like you're doing all the right things. But for some people, there's an invisible barrier that's holding them back. And that invisible barrier is literally their mindset. So with props, if you want to sell, you need to make the invisible visible. So like, they can't see their mindset block, so you need to let them see it. So we've used like a prison before and been like, some of you, this is your mindset. Like, there are literal like cells in between, or bars in between you going somewhere. And similar to a jail, you can like reach your arm through a little bit and you can do all this energy exertion and you're going to be tired at the end of the day, but you're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And how many of you feel, like you are doing all the things, but not getting the outcome? Yeah. It's because there's a mindset there. So I think props, that year we did a little under $500,000 in that sales cycle. And It was less than 75 people there. So I was like, okay, this is a quantum leap. And then 2022, the very next event did $2.6 million.
Wow.
And that event, we went all in on props. I got them custom made. I had bricks. I had money bags, like money with like my little picture on it. We had everything. So I was like, okay, we need to keep doing this. And what our framework has kind of helped us to do, every 100 people at our event now represents about $1 million in revenue. So, we've done events, 150 people, 1.5, right? And so we work on getting more people on the front end. But what I like about it is you don't need thousands of people to do millions of dollars at your event. You just need the right people and help them to become the buyer before you make the offer.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I'd like to know more about how you structure your events to have the biggest impact on people.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, Events are one of those things where there are so many moving pieces to it. And I have a book coming out called Millions from the Stage, which will like break it down even more. But one thing that we always try to do, and event structure depends on the type of event. So the first thing you want to figure out is like, what type of event am I going to do? Is it going to be virtual? Is it going to be in person? And that's a big distinction, because if it's virtual and you know you're selling something super ultra high ticket, you need to make sure that it feels like an in-person event. So you may want to mail them something beforehand. We do pre-event calls. So we actually call them and say like, hey, why do you want to come to this event? What's in it for you? Okay, if anything happens during the event, I'm your person. So you text me. The other thing you have to have, especially when you're not like a superstar, like Russell is a superstar, right? But like if you're not at the superstar level yet, like we're all pre-superstar in some way, then you want to make sure you have excellent customer service. Like you do not want any of your people to feel like they do not have good customer service. And I'll give you an example. If we're doing a virtual event, we have someone that calls them, they can text, we make sure that we show them through Loom how to log in. Because we have people 50 plus that come to our events, and we're all like, click the link. No, they are not. They're like, what is Zoom? Is this safe? Is this fraud? So we have a Loom video that like walks them through beforehand how to log in. We do dry runs. So we're like, hey, everyone, click on this and log in, and then put in the group that you've logged in. Now, if it's in person, believe it or not, some people have never been on an airplane, and their first time getting on an airplane is coming to your event, and they don't know to book their hotel the day before. So we always negotiate with our hotel. They have to give us a list of where our people are at, a list of the days that they're checking in. And if we see anyone checking in on the wrong day is the day of the event. Yeah. They have to hear my opening. So they got to check in the night before. So we will call them and say, hey, Mrs. Sarah, I see you're checking in on Monday. You should be checking in on Sunday to make sure you don't miss Ashley's opening. It's going to be really critical. And people thank us. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know what day to check in. I booked this so long ago. I didn't know it was the wrong day. If you wouldn't have called, I wouldn't have known. Or I'm staying at an Airbnb. Where's the Airbnb? And then we look it up. It's too far. Your Airbnb is 30 minutes away. I don't think you want to stay there. Or we've had people book Airbnbs in neighborhoods that we don't think are safe. And we're like, are you staying alone? You're staying alone. Okay, now I'm going to just be honest with you. I wouldn't do that one. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be within 3 miles of the venue. This is the venue. Can I text you tomorrow and make sure you rebook that? Or can you get your money back for that? And anything we could do, we'll give you a discount on the ticket if you have to take a loss on the Airbnb. Like, customer service, because they're like, man, these people care about me. They want me to be safe. And we do. And we serve women. So we've had people, have unfortunately get like sexually assaulted on an airplane, And so I can't know everything, but I want to know that. Right? And I want to, like, hey, are you okay? I heard something happened on the airplane. Somebody did this. Like, we want to be involved. And I tell my team, I want to be there on their best day, and I want to be reliable on their worst. And that starts not when you sell them anything. That starts when they buy anything from you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So all of that helps, because you need them to be in a positive mental state. You don't want them stressed. You don't want them frazzled. You want them free. If you can do that, you're already starting off on a better note. Then the event structure. Who speaks, when they speak, why they speak. You cannot have random speakers. And all the speakers have to understand the assignment. So at our events, I speak the most, my husband speaks, our team speaks, and then our clients speak. And they have to be clients in good standing. Now, they may not just do client success stories. They're going to speak on a level of expertise, but they need to be in alignment with us actually making an offer. And we tell our clients, like, we're going to make an offer. This is what the offer is. But you just teach what you're supposed to teach, and everything else will work itself out. And we want them to be ambassadors for us the whole weekend. So we got to make sure they're all in good standing, and they're what do we call them? Like evangelists of the brand, instead of just like, I'm speaking, but I'm apathetic. Right. If they are, we will remove them from the program. Like, we're not afraid to switch up the program.
How often are you doing these events?
So we do a virtual event every month, and that typically doesn't sell our high-ticket program. That sells something lower ticket, like our membership program. We have a Pitch Your Way to Cash membership. It just teaches people how to pitch for corporate clients. Our mastermind teaches you the back end of business, the sales strategy, all the things. But I like to get people in a narrow container at first. Like, just focus on making money, like how to sell to large and small organizations. So that our smaller events, we do that every month in some way, shape, or form. And we get creative with our marketing, but we always sell the same thing on the back end at those events. And our membership includes a ticket to the conference. And then once a year, sometimes twice a year. I think in 2023 we did it twice a year, but right now we're doing once a year. We do our major event, and we're on our 9th Speak Your Way to Cash Live. It's coming up in October.
Okay, and so for your membership, what kind? So they get access to the. They get like it's like a course and a community, and then they have access to the live events, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they get access to the live event. They get access to a course and community, a monthly coaching call with one of the coaches that we train. And they also get access to like pitch power hours. So that just gets them taking action. Yeah. So that membership is just such a narrow focus. It's like how to pitch. And the outcome is like, I want you pitching 1 hour a day, 5 days a week to grow your business within 6 months or less. Because most people they don't ask. They don't say like, I'd like to, like you pitched me to be on here. I pitched you. I don't remember which one, but like somebody pitched someone because we didn't know each other yesterday, right? So it's like getting people in that habit of just asking for the sale, asking for the feature, asking for what they want. I pitched Russell to speak.
I was going to ask you about that next. Tell me about what it was like. How did you get on the stage, and just what's this experience been like for you? I know you haven't spoken yet.
Yeah.
But what's going through your mind? What's it like? How'd you get here?
It is literally amazing. Like, I came to Funnel Hacking Live in 2022 in person, and I loved the whole experience. And I thought the speakers were amazing. And I was like, it'd be so dope to be up there. But I just didn't see how that was possible because I wasn't in the funnel hacking world all the way. Like there are funnel hackers and they're like funnel hackers. Like I was kind of like a funnel hacker. Now, I was an avid reader of all of Russell's books. Him and Dan Kennedy are like, they've helped me so much. And Russell, I feel like, has the same marketing method, like marketing mindset as Dan Kennedy, but without the, how do I say, offensiveness. So it's like, I told Russell, I was like, I love Dan Kennedy, but like, I can't co-sign everything he says, but I really like Dan Kennedy, like his actual marketing prowess. So I was really into their books, like all of Dan's book, all of Russell's books. And so his assistant, this is a crazy story. Russell's assistant at the time, now she's, I think, chief of staff, but his assistant at the time, Jenny, started following me on Instagram. Never liked, never commented that I saw. But she really liked it, and she started sending Russell my reels, unbeknownst to me. I go on a yacht. I was at a Myron Golden event. I'm on a yacht. I end up on a yacht with Russell Brunson. I see Russell, and at the end, I'm like, Russell, I don't know if you know me. My name's Ashley. Can we take a photo? Now, weeks before, Russell had followed me on Instagram, but I didn't know if it was him or his team. So I was like, Russell, did you follow me? And he was like, oh, yeah, my assistant, Jenny. Let's take a photo. She loved this. And I was like, so you know I am? He was like, yeah, this is going to be great. Jenny's going to love this photo. She's a big fan of yours. And I'm like, oh, my God. Russell Brunson knows who I am. I was like, that was really, I'm like texting him. I was like, that was really Russell. So we take a photo, and I think nothing of it. But Jenny, behind the scenes, is like, yo, you need to have Ashley speak. So someone from his team reaches out and like, what do you speak on? Like, I could tell they were just trying to figure out, like, what does this girl do? And so I told them, like, I speak on sales and mindset. I think I told them something else. And they reached out and were like, can you speak at the Think and Grow Rich Challenge? And I was like, of course. And so one of my friends, Neo, shout out to Neo Davis, was like, sis, this is not a speech. This is an audition. I was like, it's an audition? He was like, it's an audition. He was like, last time Russell asked me to speak somewhere on a smaller scale, next thing I know, I'm speaking at Funnel Hacking Live. I said, oh my God, I have to do a good job. But it was pre-recorded. And as you could tell, I'm a lively person. Like, I'm an in-person person. So pre-recorded was very hard for me. So I recorded the whole thing, and I just felt like it was bland because I didn't have that audience energy. So I told my friend Neil, I was like, I did it. I recorded it. He was like, did you kill it? And I was like, I don't think I killed it. He was like, you better record that again because it's an audition. So I had to call my entire production team back. And I was like, we got to record the whole thing again. We record the whole thing again. And this time I just acted like it was live. Like I was like, all right, guys, drop 3 in the chat if you're in it. Like, and it was so energetic. And I used all the props. I did everything. And it was in time. And the production value looked stellar. So I send it off and it's great. And Jenny was like, yo, the team over here loved it. They're like, she using these props. This is so cool. This is amazing. And so I didn't hear anything else after that. They just said, I did a good job. And it was a really, really, really cool opportunity. But that was my first introduction into speaking for Russell. But a few, maybe weeks or so later, I sent him a voice note. And I'm like, Russell, I don't know if you all are considering me for anything like, any events. I didn't want to be like, I don't know if you're thinking about me for Funnel Hacking Live. But I was like, if you are, this is what I can do. I was like, I don't think you've ever had anyone speak on how you can use props to sell more services and the ideology and the sales psychology behind that. But we've been able to do over $2 million in one pitch in a small room by utilizing props to break down objections. And, I would love to talk about that at any of your events coming up. And FHL was coming up. He responds, Ashley, this is great. So cool. Send me some examples. I said, oh, he wants examples? This is a good sign. I sent him 3 examples. I said, this one is a pre-pitch, this is a main pitch, this is a this pitch. And I literally sent him examples, me using a basketball court, me using bricks on stage, me using all of it. I was like, this is the 2.6 million pitch, this is the 1.6 million pitch, only this many people in the room, sent him all our stats. We have pretty high conversion numbers. So I didn't hear anything for months. And then I got a voice note from him. Hey, Ashley, it's Russell Brunson. I don't know if you want to, if you've just been a Funnel Hacking Live, you're just thinking about speakers. I was like, what? I literally this morning posted the video of me finding out, and it is the ugliest, most excitedest, yell and scream. I didn't want to post it because it was so ugly, but I posted it, and people are just going crazy over it because I try to be decently put together, but I was not put together at all. I was like, oh my God, Russell told me I can speak. So I was so excited. So that's how it came about. It was a voice note, and I sent over some examples, and months later, he was like, hey, you want to do this?
Oh my goodness. Are you anxious? Are you nervous? But you probably not because you just speak all the time, but how are you feeling?
I feel great. I think I was nervous. And my husband asked me something not too long ago, and I kind of snapped back at him. And I was like, I'm sorry. I think I'm nervous about Funnel Hacking Live. And he was like, babe, you're going to do good. Don't worry about this. And I realized I was nervous because I hadn't prepared enough. So whenever I'm nervous, I have to prepare so much that I just am excited. Because when I prepare, I get so excited. I'm like, I'm going to crush this because I'm prepared. So I've done it enough where I know when I feel it and it's going to be good. And I've also done it enough when I know I haven't prepared enough and it's not there yet. So after I prepared, I felt great about it. And one thing I did was, because he's having me speak on, I proposed this topic, but I've never publicly taught this framework. So my book comes out March of this year, which is on selling from the stage and how we do events. But I've never publicly taught the framework because the book isn't out yet. The book comes out, you teach the framework. Mm-hmm. So I am doing it in advance for the Funnel Hacking Live community. And I had a thought. I was like, the first time I speak about this framework cannot be in front of 5,000 people. So I emailed out my community when I realized that. And I'm like, I need y'all to get on Zoom tonight because we're going to have to go through this framework. And I'm actually going to be doing live hot seats at Funnel Hacking Live. And I have 28 minutes. So, and I'm using a mega prop. It's like a bus. It's 6 feet tall. I don't even know how they're going to get it on stage. They told me don't worry about it. I was like, I ain't going to worry about it. I was like, y'all done a lot of things around here. So I think y'all done built whole companies and technology. Y'all can figure this out. So I did a dry run with my community and just walked through the slides, got some of the kinks out, and perfected the framework. And then I asked my community, okay, guys, give me what you got. How can I make this better? And for an hour and a half, they stood on there on that Zoom and just gave me everything. Well, I love this, but one of the things we worry about is are we going to be able to do this? Because Ashley's a really good speaker and I'm not going to be able to do this. You have to deal with the mindset. I'm like, okay, great, got it. Hey, the hot seats, let's tighten up the questions. Can you put the questions on the slide? That way people aren't waiting so long to answer the questions. Okay, I was like, got it. So they really helped me. So shout out to the Speaker Ready Cash community. We call them Cashleets. So they really helped me prep for it. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
That's awesome.
So now I'm just excited. But the nerves, I'm just excited. I feel like I'm so ready for this. I've wanted this for a long time. Not even just Funnel Hacking Live, but to speak in larger audiences that span across different globes, different countries and continents. So this will be great.
Yeah. So my audience and myself, I do a lot of webinars.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how I grew my business. So my story was, I have a marketing agency to help people run ads and basics marketing stuff, and so I started this the traditional method where I run ads, then I get on a sales call with you, and then I try to sell you. But that was really, really it was a grind that wasn't really effective for me because I would spend an entire day with 8 sales appointments, and then one day I thought to myself, well, I could try a webinar, right? I'm a big fan of Russell Brunson. I read Expert Secrets a million times. I mean, 6 times, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'd rather get on one sales call and have 100 people on there than have, a full day for 8 people. Even if only 8 people show up, I'd rather spend 1 hour to 8 people than 8 hours, for like 8 people. So I tried a webinar and it was great. I got 17 sales, my very first webinar. I was like, oh, this is fun. And so then I decided to do another webinar the following week. And Russell Brunson said that if you do a webinar every single week for a year, you have a 7-figure business. And that was like awesome for me. But I kind of had this idea, well, what if I don't want to wait a year to have a 7-figure business?
Yeah.
So I got done with the webinar one night on Thursday night, and I thought to myself, I don't want to wait until next Thursday. Like, I'm in a hurry to grow. I want to hustle. So I was like, how can I figure out how to do this every single night? So I started doing like these webinars Monday through Thursday, and like I had like this whole like automation set up and like reminders, and like if they didn't show up one night, they came to the next night, and it kind of just snowballed. The cool thing about this method was instead of like having them wait till like the next Thursday, it's like I'm running ads. Hey, this webinar's on Thursday. It's like, hey, the webinar's tonight.
Yeah, I love that.
So my opt-in rate's higher, right?
Yeah.
So therefore your cost per lead is lower. And then also because it's tonight instead of next Thursday, now it's like my show-up rate's higher because it's like, I don't know what I'm doing on Thursday. They just registered. It's top of mind. So your show-up rate's higher. The opt-in rate is higher. The cost per lead's lower. And then because you're doing it more frequently, you have the compounding effects. One person didn't show up one day, so you can bring him to the next day, instead of having to wait one full week. So they had all these benefits to doing it. And also you just grow a lot faster. You iterate faster. You're doing massive imperfect action. And so I kind of developed this method called the nightly webinar method, and people are interested in it. So anyway, all that to say, I love doing webinars, and I'd love for you to provide some tips that I can use. So you mentioned some really great things, like trying to make it feel like a live event, having amazing customer service. What other tips can you give some people like me and other people that are trying to do webinars and grow with webinars to make more money, to have a bit more impact? At the end of the day, it's all about impact, right? So
for sure.
What can you tell us?
So there's 2 things if you're not doing it already. One is having them do an orientation form. So a form right after they register. Now you may have upsells that happen, but in that either upsell frequency whenever your upsells are over, or maybe on your thank you page, and then also in the email that they get and the text message that they get, send them to a registration form. Because that registration form will have things like, hey, what's bleeding you to come into this webinar right now? What's your current monthly revenue? What is your Instagram handle? That's a big one, because what I've found is if my team can DM someone on Instagram, you're going to get a better response than if you email or if you text.
Oh, wow.
And like you said, who wants to be on sales calls all day? So what we do for our webinars is we make hot lists. And the hot list is based on who showed up and who completed the form. So if you showed up, completed the form, and didn't buy, you're a buyer. You just didn't know it, right? So we want to call you. We're not going to call everyone, but we're going to call you for sure. So having that orientation form is great, because even for all of our live events, you have to do a orientation form. So it's like, hey, this is your onboarding process for this live event. Step 1, do the orientation form. For a webinar, it'd be, hey, I want to personalize this webinar to you. So if you fill out this 60-second form, it's going to help me to get to know you so I can tailor my content to you.
Yeah.
And that is just like a game changer in getting the right data on your customers. The second thing is use props, right?
Props.
Use props. So if you know, and the way that you're going to use props, so number 1, you're going to figure out what is your theory of the sale, right? That's what we call it. Your theory of the sale is like why they should buy from you right now. So it's typically every blank, and you can tell me what yours is. So for ours, it would be every expert should be selling to corporations. So the first part of it is whoever you work with should be, and then what is it? What is it? Not they should be buying pitcher ready cash or speaker ready cash or whatever the name of your offer is, but like everyone should be doing this. This is the premise of the offer. If they don't believe that, they're not going to buy your thing. Yeah. So that's the first part. And then it's like everyone should be buying that, and insert the name of your offer can help. So every expert should be buying, or every expert should be selling to corporations, and the pitcher ready cash membership can help, because in just 1 hour a day, it can help you land your first 5-figure offer, right? So that's kind of our unique value proposition. It's like, it's 1 hour a day, you're going to land a 5 or 6-figure corporate offer if you are consistent with it for a certain period of time, right? Yeah. And that we have our theory of the sale. Then we have to figure out what are all the reasons why they won't buy. And you just list them all down. Like, it's too much time, too much money. My spouse isn't going to let me invest. I maxed out all my credit cards. The last thing I bought didn't work. You need that. Then you go to what's the belief behind the objection? So when someone says they don't have money, there's two types of I don't have money. There's I don't even have my rent or food. That's a real I don't have money objection. The next one is this is not a priority for me because I'm putting all these other financial commitments before it. If it's the second objection, the objection isn't I don't have money. The objection is this isn't a priority for me because I don't think it'll work. So now you have to come up with a prop. Like what prop would help them to realize that prioritization, that misalignment of priorities is keeping them stuck. So it could be that they're saving money instead of investing money. And you could show them like, hey, this is a table. If I put $1 million on this table right now and I came back in 50 years and no one moved it, how much money would still be here?
$1 million.
$1 million because it's not invested. It's just being like stored away. Right now, if you have money in an account or you have money under your mattress or you have money somewhere that's not multiplying by 10x, that money is better spent in your business. Yes or no?
Yes.
So you could show them that, like just show them money on the table and you're like, okay, this is the thing. The other is showing them that they need more belief in their business. And belief looks like taking action. So that's how you're going to come up with your props is like, what is the number one objection and the belief behind that objection that's keeping them stuck? How can I illustrate that they have a faulty, there's like a faulty belief system behind that particular belief, but you need to give them the evidence. So the money on the table, we know it's not going to grow. They will come to that same conclusion. And that's the thing is giving them the evidence to say, you know what, I'm going to reconsider this. And a big mistake people make with overcoming objections is thinking they have to annihilate the objection. You don't. People do stuff with doubt every day of the week. If you're bungee jumping, you do not believe 100% that this is going to all work out. You're probably 95. But that 5% is in you and you're still bungee jumping. So we don't have to annihilate objections. We have to get them enough belief to buy, right? Because buying is the thing that's going to change their life. The transaction starts the transformation, but it doesn't complete it.
Yeah.
Then we got to sell them on taking action every single day. So the sales process never, ever, ever ends. But I think using props, you can use household items, like even a blanket, right? How many of you right now are hiding? Just put a blanket over your hand. You know something's under here, but you don't know what. That's how your clients are. They know you sell something, but they don't know what. So anything you have around the house, water, blankets, do something to just have a pattern interrupt so that they're paying attention. And if you do that, they're going to be glued in because they're we don't know what's going to happen. They may pull a rabbit out of a hat. I've seen Russell use stuffed animals and stuff, and he's trying to use some different props. So you can definitely use props.
Yeah. Awesome. So one thing I'm always wondering about is how to balance the value to, the sales aspect. So Russell Brunson talks about the framework for teaching frameworks where you show how you learned it or earned it. You show the high level of the framework and then you show the social proof, but you don't show the how. You don't show the tactics. You leave that for when they actually purchase. I spoke with somebody last night who is a 2 Comic Club X Award winner, and he said that he gives away tons of value, and then he's here's how you go through, here's how you do everything.
Yeah.
And by the way, we can do it all for you. So
yes,
there's tons of value, but then there's the other method, which is almost no value, getting you to believe the actual thing is true, and then let me show you how to do it. You got to pay for it. So I'm just curious how you balance the value versus sales aspect of some of your events to have maximum impact.
We give a lot of actual value, teaching them how to do it. But again, I really believe in proof-based selling. So if you know, one, with ChatGPT, information is now devalued. ChatGPT if you ask it, how do I land a 6-figure contract? It'll say something. You know what I mean? It'll give you something.
Yeah.
But what people really need is accountability and action. So if you are someone who sells done-for-you services, you can give all the value in the world on a webinar and then say, but here's the truth. You have 40 hours in a week to really dedicate to your business, if that. Most people, if they work full-time, they have 10. And then you're going to say, okay, but then also you want to spend time with your family. So you cross out the 10. You're like, all right, now you got 8. If you spend 2 hours a week with your kids, and that's not even a lot. Then let's say you got to spend self-care times. Then now you got 6. Okay, great. We spend 50 hours a week per client account, or we spend 50 hours per month on client accounts. Who do you think is going to get a better result? You with your fractured
2-3
4
hours?
hours,
Yeah.
or me with my 60 plus hours plus my team. So really it's maybe like 600 because I got all these people
And all your experience.
and all the experience, so I could do it faster, but I'm still putting in the time. Like, and then I know all the updates, and you don't. Like, who's going to do better? And they're going to say, dang, it's you. It's like, okay, great. So you could go home, you could try to do this, and you will probably have like a 30% success rate, if that. But if you hire us, we're going to give you this guarantee. If we don't get it done for you in 60 days, we'll just give you your money back. Like, which deal do you want? Which deal does your business deserve? Which deal does your dream deserve? So if you're doing done for you, you can absolutely do that. So even in law, we used to do webinars, and we would sell our done for you, like, trademark packages and services. And we would show them, this is how you file it yourself. Start to finish in 2 hours. We would literally do it live. And then we'd say, okay, now when you submit a trademark, there's a little checkbox you're going to have to sign. And it says you agree under penalty of perjury that you have done this thing right. You have not lied on this application. You have really filled it out. How many of you are comfortable with that checkbox? They'd be like, not me. I'm like, yeah, because it says penalty of perjury or jail time. I'm like, are y'all cool with that? They're like, no. I'm like, great. Most of them, like 50% of whoever's on that webinar, I'd be like, we're just going to hire your firm. But I've shown them how, because the information doesn't matter. Like, who do you want to put your weight behind in this moment with what you know right now? My experience or your experience? And so that is... that's kind of how I would do it. I don't think it matters how much information you give. I do think it matters if you give them a framework from which to make a buying decision. A lot of people tell them the stack and all that other stuff, but if you allow people to make decisions based on the thought processes they've come in with, then they're going to use those thought processes to make a decision. We always want to teach people how to decide. Like, if you give them a framework for deciding, now they're using your framework to decide on how to buy versus theirs, because you've gotten a result that they still desire.
Yeah. What about the actual offer itself? How do you create a compelling offer?
Research. So I do market research. I just get my clients on Zoom. Like, I have a community. When I say community, if I do this call right now, like, hey, my community of 300,000, I want you all to get on Zoom. No, it's going to be 50 people that get on. Like 50 to 100 may show up. Like, we did it last minute for even Funnel Hacking Live. We had like 96 people there. So it's not a lot of people. We used to do them, and then we get 10, 12 people. But the 10 to 12 people that show up are buyers. The 80, 90 people that show up are buyers, and we tell them, hey, I want to do a just no holds barred chat with you on Zoom, cameras on. I'm going to be like in my sweats, in my pajamas, no makeup, no hair, nothing, like come as you are. And I just want to show you what we have planned for 2025 and ask you some questions about what we're putting together for you. And I want you to give me honest feedback on whether or not you want this. And we ask them, like, this price point, does it feel high or low to you? Tell me why. Like, would you buy this? Have you bought something similar? What did you hate about it? What did you love about it? Like, what was their onboarding process like? And we just do market research. Like, so often we forget, we could just ask. Like, you could just ask the people who you want to sell to, will they like it? And then we take the transcript of that, and we come up with our sales page, and we come up with our pitch.
Yeah.
And they'll give us like little things that they wish they had in offers. And we always ask, what did you wish was in the last offer you bought on this topic that was totally absent? And we want to make sure we include that. So we will craft the offer from that perspective. But in terms of making an offer, number one, you need a good name. If you have a clear name for your offer, the name will help sell your offer. If you have a unclear name for your offer, the offer name will do no work for you, right? Then you want clear elements, like just like 4 things that if you had to really narrow it down, they're going to get these 4 things, and not just the elements, but they're going to walk away with these 4 assets. So if you think of it like that, Q&A call, like you're not going to you don't want to do like a Q&A call, but you want to walk away knowing exactly where to go every single month when you have this question, and you're going to get a high quality answer. Like, what are you going to walk away with, right? And then you want to make sure that you have the bonuses that are going to be worth more than the offer, or that are going to answer the objections that they have to buying the underlying offer. So every bonus, a big objection that we have to our Pitch Your Way to Cash membership is, I would love to pitch, but I don't have a good offer. So we literally created a GPT that creates 6-figure offers based on our offer creation framework. So now we don't sell that in the actual main pitch. What we do is, and this is something that I'm sure you could test. Like, we test how we position different parts of our offer. We tested it as a bonus. It went crazy. We tested it as a bonus, and people were just like, oh my God. And then we literally first off, show people what they're going to get. Don't just say, you're going to get this, you're going to get this, you're going to get this. I sit down at the end of my regular pitch, and I share my screen, and I'm like, okay, When you log in, let's log in now. Do y'all want to see behind the scenes? Okay, I log in. I literally used the AI tool in front of them.
Wow.
I was like, give me one of your topics. And then the AI tool gave an offer based on our framework. Then I said, okay, I told the tool, now write the full proposal. It wrote the whole proposal. They were going crazy. They were like, oh my God. And I'm like, now, try the same thing in ChatGPT, see if it happens. And they were like, dang, it didn't give me the 3 tiers. It didn't do it like you taught. I was like, yeah, because it's not trained. I was like, we literally hired a developer. We sat down with him, and we had 4 to 5 iterations of this particular tool, and then we're giving it to you. And as long as you're a member, you have access to this tool. And I think that piece was important too, to say we hired a developer, we worked with him for several weeks, we tested different models, showing them the value.
How you learned it or how you earned it. Like
yes, how you learned it or how you earned it. Yes, like Russell says. So so that's a really important piece, literally showing them what they're gonna get.
That's amazing. I do free webinars, but he said that he does $30 webinars.
Okay.
$30 paid presentation things. And then from there, he would just offer something that's $5,000 at the end, which I thought that was really interesting. But the thing about that is sometimes if they pay something, then they feel like that's supposed to solve their problem. It's like, I'm going here for education. And so, I'm not only now I'm not sure if I want to be pitched, but also, so whereas
even though these live events that we host, they pay for those,
that's
and
true.
they come and in fact we recently made our pitch. We called it a private keynote. So we were like, you have to apply to see Ashley's private keynote, which is another benefit of using props and stuff. Is people are like, she's theatrical, this would be cool. So we tell them at this, I'm gonna introduce how to work with me, but you have to apply for it. You have to be accepted. We make them hold up their acceptance badges, and the team was strict. You don't have your green pass, you're going to have to get out.
I want to ask you about what role coaching has played in your life.
Yes.
So, do you remember, this is always a fun one, do you remember the first time you spent a bunch of money on a coach?
I do.
Tell me about that experience.
I do. So my first coach, I think, was $300. That was the most I'd ever spent on a coach. I'd never spent anything on a coach. So that was really cool. And she basically just taught me how to do Instagram Lives. She was just like, you need to have Instagram Lives. You need to take them down. And then every week, instead of just taking them down, you sell it for $97. And I was like, okay, well, that's unique. I could do that. So she kind of introduced me to that. Now, a lot of money, I think, would be $15,000 was my first investment. And she taught me funnels. That was what she taught. She really taught me how to set up my own funnel sequence, which was, because mind you, I was in trial law. I was a lawyer. We didn't have funnels. Yeah. Lawyers should have funnels. If they'd make more money if they had funnels. They need to meet Russell. All the lawyers need to meet Russell. But
if they don't, they got to pay someone like me.
Yeah, they do. They got to pay you.
They got to pay somebody.
Pay a marketer to do, because they may not do it themselves. So pay a marketer. But so I meet her. She charged me $15,000 to just teach her. And she didn't even have an agency. So it was literally just on Zoom with me and was like, this is my funnels. This is how it's set up. And she also had really good copy, because that's important. Yeah. So the way she wrote her copy always made me feel something. So I was like, okay, let's figure this out. And it went great. I think I probably made another $100,000 from the stuff that she taught me. Just having a funnel was helpful. I didn't know you at the time. I had read Expert Secrets, but again, I didn't know everything. I didn't know there was a funnel I can live, or I could hire an agency, and all of that was foreign. So that little bit of knowledge was really transformative, and that's how I got into learning about agencies and people like yourself and Russell, and it opened my eyes. Let me learn more about this. And my husband actually told me, he was like, okay, Ashley, because when someone teaches you something, you want to basically give them all your money. You feel indebted. I was like, $15,000 isn't enough. So she was like, oh, you could pay me, $30,000 now, and I'll teach you something else. And my husband was like, are you sure she has something else to teach you? And I was like, well, she taught me the first thing, so I think it'll be great. So I pay her another $30,000. And I asked her a question, because she was like, I know about, HR, operations, everything. So I was like, okay, great. Well, I was like, well, my husband and I, we're making good money now. We're going to put ourselves on payroll. We want to do this. And she was just like, oh, yeah, I'll work on that. But my husband started developing a relationship with her husband. Do you know her husband tells my husband, we ain't even on payroll. We don't even have health insurance. We don't even he ended up spilling everything. So I was like, yo, they need to get on the same. This was so embarrassing. I was like, they need to get on the same page. But like sometimes people are just honest. Like marketers are more comfortable being in the gray. Most people are just like, oh, I don't have health insurance. Like it's not a big. They're just honest people, and that's why I try. I'm like, Lord, please keep me honest because I cannot be embarrassed out here. Be like, oh yeah, I have a Lamborghini. It's like she doesn't have that. Like that's horrible. So after that, I literally I was so irritated with that, and also just kind of like I couldn't trust anything she said after that, so I was like, whatever. But it did not make me stop coaching. And after that, I was really addicted to just paying people and learning faster.
Yeah.
And every other investment I've made since then, even with her, I don't fault it because I met great people through that program. And in fact, other people who were there also, since she didn't really know what was going on in that sense, and many of those people came on after a few years of us growing and figuring it out, and they came on to be clients of ours, and I can trace probably $300,000 of revenue back to being in her program. So it's still like, thank you, you know what I mean? So every investment I made after that has been really good for something. Either I learned what to do or I learned what not to do. And I just feel like I've never wasted money on coaching in my whole life.
I mean, you can't lose money. You can't. It's possible because you're going to be better in some way or another.
Are.
Like, yeah, there's some programs where I've purchased where I thought, was it really worth that money? I don't know. But at the same time, like, of course I'm going to go on to make an ROI because you just have to think of a long enough time frame.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe, but at some point you're always going to come back to you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. And if you're a successful person today, it's because you had to go through these things,
Yep.
So, I remember my first time that I spent a lot of money on coaching, and my wife was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it was one of the biggest impact. In fact, it was just 2024, and that's when things started changing for me. So I'm a really big believer in it now. I'm a believer in that you have to pay attention.
You do.
And sometimes, and just the fact that you're spending money on something, now you're like, I'm going to make this worthwhile. I'm not going to have paid this money and have it not be worth anything. So,
no.
You end up actually making it worth your while, even if all that happens is you end up just working harder as a result.
Or you just meet someone. I was in a program. That's how I met Russell. Like, I was in a program and I paid for something extra to be on this yacht. They were like, Russell's going to be there. And I was like, Russell's going to be there? Take my card. You know what I mean? And so I literally it's always been beneficial. And I've had a coach that I've been working with for several years. And I think I've had to have spent at least $130,000 at this point with this one person, and that's just one. I always have multiple coaches working in the background, but this person I just invest with every year, and he and his wife have just been so influential on our lives and on our business and the relationships that I've gotten as a result. So I also think that I go into programs and I'm going to try to get the result. I'm going to try to be the best client that I can be and always operate in integrity in other people's programs, and that has always paid off. And just be vulnerable enough to ask questions. Like, I don't have to know everything. Like, I don't know this. This isn't working. Revenue's down. We lost money in 2024, but our profit went way up. But we lost, like, our top-line revenue. And I told my coach, I'm like, I lost top-line revenue. We're up here. What number should I be looking at? And we realized why we lost a little bit of revenue. We spent $100,000 less on Facebook ads in the previous year. That was the one metric that didn't make sense. Everything else was, like, our conversion rates were higher. Everything else was higher. We just did not invest enough money in marketing. And so this coach has been great about, like, okay, just look at these numbers. You know what you're doing. Like, let's accelerate growth. And I had burnout in 2023. So I really needed a year where I just kind of didn't push as hard, which is really hard for me to even admit. But I really needed a just good, solid year. And I feel like that was 2024. But I went back and told all my coaches, like, you all have permission to push me because we're going crazy this year. Like, we're making as much money as possible. We're scaling beyond anything that we'd ever imagined. And I'm ready to go.
Yeah. How do you manage working with all these different coaches? Is that because like for me, I have I just invested in somebody and I'm working with this person. I'm hesitant to go out and look for another coach at this time. There's other people I'd love to after I'm done with this guy, I'd love to work with this guy, this gal. How do you feel about working with multiple coaches at the same time?
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like your job as a client is to know your vision. If I know my vision, that means I'll know the holes in my competencies. I can also identify in people like, okay, you do this, you do webinar a day system, and you understand marketing, you understand that. So that's great. I may come to you and be like, all right, cool. I want you to help me with my webinar a day system for the next 90 days. That's perfect. But then there may be someone else who's like, my webinars are converting at 50% for a 5K offer. And I'm like, 50% conversion rate? Okay, great. I got someone helping me with setting up my webinar a day. I want you to help me convert at 50% for those webinars. And it may be someone else who's like, I am excellent at making sure your systems are correct so that you can handle 100xing your growth this year. So I may work with them on 100x growth. I think where people get mixed up is they're going to the 100x growth guy for the webinar a day system, and then they're going to the 50% conversion rate guy for the back end system on 100xing your business. They may not know all that.
Yeah.
So when I look at coaches, I look at, of course, whatever their offer is, but I typically don't care what their offer is. I identify in them what is one thing they're doing better than me that I want to learn. And the only thing I typically ask is, will I have direct access to you to ask questions? If they say yes, I'm going to buy it. Because I don't care about the portal or any of that. Like, maybe I'll look at it, maybe I won't.
Yeah.
But if I can ask you questions about the one thing I've identified that you're excellent at, I'm going to hire you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Okay. So kind of running out of time here, but I would like to end this with a few questions, okay? If you had a billboard in the middle of Times Square with millions and millions of people that can see it, what message would you want to put out into the world?
That's intense. I think the message that I would put out into the world is sell more services, live more life with a QR code.
What does that mean?
It means that if you can fix your sales problem, you should fix your sales problem, not just to make more money, but to live more life.
Love that. And where would the QR code take you?
Oh, to a funnel. Like, it will take you to a landing page that says, are you an entrepreneur looking to sell more services?
Yeah.
Do you have a service-based business? And it will put them right into my funnel. Like, as much as I'd love to say in Times Square, I'd be like, everyone, come to Jesus. Like, I would love to say it, but like, I would probably just be like, get in this funnel.
Yeah. I love it. All right. And so the second one is, what challenge, it's like a challenge. So what would you challenge people to do? Listeners to this that are interested in selling more services and building up the personal brand and getting on a stage and writing a book and making a bigger impact and sharing their message, everything that you teach and talk about, what would you challenge those people to do?
I would challenge them to not confuse consumption with action. So like, they're consuming this podcast, they're probably reading books right now. They need to take action. Consumption is like the precursor for action. So now that you've consumed this podcast, you've heard so many dope strategies that you can implement. Implement something every day, and do not go to sleep if you have not made some money in your business. Like, you have to do something every single day that makes it easier for you to make money in your business.
Love it. Awesome. Any other last message you'd like to share with people?
Yeah, believe in yourself. Like, you guys are literally looking, like, we have a multi-million-dollar business now. Last year we had record profitability, but one of the things that I'll say is I did not even think I could be an entrepreneur. I literally was like, I don't want to struggle. I need my job. I was making $300,000 in my day job. Like, and the lowest paid partner at my firm was making $1.2 million. So I would have been a millionaire in my day job. I was comfortable. I didn't think I could do this. But if you're listening to this, it's not for no reason. It's because you can do this and more. You could do more than both of us because you have our mistakes to learn from. So you could make more faster, quicker, and then let us know about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's for you to hear this message. You're not hearing it by mistake. But you're literally looking at someone who you may think is confident now, but I did not even think I could be an entrepreneur because it looked like a vague life of struggle. And I did not want that. But it's not. Like, my quality of life right now is just beyond what I would have ever had as a lawyer. I didn't even think I could be a mom as a lawyer because everyone just worked 20 hours a day, 18, 20 hours a day. Now I have a 4-year-old daughter. We do a sabbatical for a month every January and just travel the world with our 4-year-old. Even when she starts school, we're only looking at schools that will allow us to have what we're calling her Global Exploration Month every year. And I am able to design a life that I genuinely love. And it's literally by God's grace and great mentors and marketers who, like you, are sharing information with the world. Like, you can literally do this no matter where you're at right now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your story
Thank you.
and your inspirational journey and so much amazing nuggets of wisdom. I'm going to go back and watch the podcast and take notes because there was so much going on. But thank you so much for coming today. And you're going to crush it tomorrow. And I can't wait to go see you. I'm going to watch you and I'll be cheering for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. So next time, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And how can we follow you? How can we get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Go to speakyourwaytocash.com, and I'm on Instagram at The Ashley Nicole Show and at Speak Your Way to Cash. And we have a free Speak Your Way to Cash group and podcast.
Awesome. So links will be down in the description. Thanks, guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.